All right. So, welcome everybody to our class. We should have a good group today, probably more than we have now. I'm going to be rolling in a minute here. I started promoting this thing 2 months ago, and we have like 400 people registered for today's event. By far, one of the largest registers I've had for any of my classes. So this is an open Q&A session, open to all advisors. So if you were live on Facebook through the Facebook group, if you have questions, put them in the chat in Facebook. Join us on the class. The links in the previous post. And this class is open for any conversation. I have David Kinder here with us, who's moderator and creator of the Facebook group. And we're here to answer questions you have regarding, insurance, marketing, lead generation, marketing strategies, whatever. We want to give you guys some great feedback, share a little about our community of agents that I work with on a monthly basis. This is a class we do every Thursday at 3 p.m. in our local group. And so you see, like, I have a lot of regulars will be in the group, but also have a lot of new people that should be in the group today to kind of meet with us and ask any questions. So I'll open it up. What questions do you guys have? Go ahead, Derek.
Good afternoon. So I am going to be publishing my next book at the end of the month. Yep. Stacy's actually doing the cover for me again. And I'm just wondering how the best method possibly to get it out there, spread the word. I really want to use it as a strong marketing book. I think this book is going to be significantly more robust than my previous. Okay. And I'd really like to get it out there. And I'm just outside of hoping that I don't really care. I could care less if I sell one of them on Amazon outside of maybe getting some reviews. But what are your thoughts about getting it out there? I thought everything from running some sort of Facebook campaign to doing postcards to give the book away. I just don't know though.
So with book marketing, again, the goal of this book is for lead generation for you personally, right? It's not to sell to other agents. It's not that kind of book. Now, like your previous
book, it's client focused. If other agents want to use it as their own tool, that's up to them.
Yeah, just like the previous book. We have it on our resource center, and we did sell a few copies for you, trying to help you get that thing going years ago. So the new book, what market are you designing the book for? Who are you trying to reach with this book?
So the book overall is pretty broad based. I'll give you an example. I have a buy term and invest the difference chapter. I have just starting out chapter, but then it's a lot of concepts. So and it's concepts not just on building a tax-free retirement base. It's concepts on CD alternative, for example. Okay. Or you have a retirement account now. You've retired now. What are you going to do to guarantee yourself income? So different like annuity concepts and life insurance concepts I have in there. Okay. Towards the end of it, I touch on Medicare and Social Security just as a knowledge base. They're very short chapters. But that's so it's everything from tax-free retirement, purchasing automobiles using the life insurance to creating guaranteed income for life.
Okay. So it's a vast swath of people, right?
Yeah, it's pretty wide open. So I guess the ideal person would be 55, to be honest. I mean,
that's what I was leaning towards, as kind of that 50 plus market. Sure. People that do have some money, have a little wealth to them, would get the best value from the book. Not that it won't help the younger people that pick up a copy or people over 65, but that 55 pre-retirement audience is who I'd want to be targeting. Okay. Right. So it's thinking, where do these people get their information from? Right. So a lot of times Facebook can be a good opportunity to do some Facebook marketing. Whether you're giving the book away, trying to promote it as a sales piece, whatever, to get people really engaged with that conversation. So, running ads, opening up the first 3 chapters, right? and then give them the opportunity to download it, either at a cost or in exchange for information from them, i.e. a freemium marketing or lead magnet that you can drip on them after they get the full copy of the book. Right. So
what are your thoughts on this? I know somebody that did this. Now it's a different industry. I have friends that are marketers but they only work with attorneys. But he sent me something, and basically it was a sales funnel where the guy's giving his book away for $9.95, right?
okay.
So he's giving it away at the cost of shipping, but he's sending physical copies to the people.
Yep.
Do
Yeah.
you think that'd be more effective than like a PDF version or an ebook version?
It's definitely more impactful. Yeah, because
Yeah.
anybody can. I mean, there are thousands of books we can find online that are PDFs, but they don't really have
Yeah.
that tangible value being able to hold it in your hand. So if people don't like to read online, they have to print it out. You're not going to do that. So giving away the tangible version of it,
Mm-hmm.
putting it in their hands, it's a better credibility piece that way. It shows you actually spent the money to have it published, so it has worth to it
Right.
versus that online ebook. So absolutely.
And I'm just thinking of my own self. Like I sometimes opt into something, and they send me the report or whatever it might be, and I literally never even open it.
Yeah.
Like I don't even open the email. I'm like, I really didn't need that.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's putting books in people's hands. I have my book being published right now. It's in the final stages to getting printed finally after, oh God, 12 years of being written. That my strategy to get my book out there, I'm going to be giving it to people face to face. As I'm out in stores, I'll have my conversation. I'll have books with me all the time. I'll be doing.
I'm thinking of that too, face to face. 100%. I'm handing them to people, no cost. I'm just thinking for the people that I normally wouldn't come across.
Yeah, so doing some kind of opportunity the way you can get it for the cost of shipping. Um,
Yeah.
get that way they have a little skin in the game. Because if people are going to spend any money, they're putting skin in the game. They're going to want something
Mm-hmm.
to value back, right? So even when you have these companies, all these vitamin companies, right, online trying to pounce on their vitamins, their
Yeah.
weight loss pills, whatever, you only pay shipping and handling. People are accustomed to paying that shipping and handling fee for something free,
Yeah.
right? But they're going to know they get something of value from it. So as long as you have well-structured ads, a couple of video advertisements about the book that you can drip out, where they can get it, how much it costs. I'm eating the cost of the book. You're just paying for shipping and handling. And being upfront about it. Nothing's shady or sketchy about it.
Right.
You're going to have a lot of opportunity from that. You can monetize that. Make sure you do a press release to local papers. This is something a lot of guys miss out on, is that press release. If you're not letting the media know you wrote a new book, you have a new class you're teaching, you got a new certificate or award. If you don't tell them, they don't know. So, make sure you build a bio kit or press kit, put out press releases about when you have these life-changing events. Because
Is there a format on the back office site, on the private site?
I believe so. I know there's an article that Wally wrote years ago about how to build a press kit.
Okay.
I will make sure I put it up front and center on the site this afternoon after the class.
Okay.
Yeah, because not having a press kit, if you're writing books, doing seminars, if you don't let the media know, I'm talking about the local papers, the television channels, the radio stations know what you do and what you're doing for people, they're not going to be able to promote you. They're not going to pull you up. So a quick story, Joe Casey Wealth Consultants, years ago before he became Casey Wealth Consulting and sold his practice, he came to one of my classes, sat there for 2 days with me and Lou and Wally, and we had a file called VIP Interview with You. And it's a short, about 7 pages of questions that you could go through and answer, and it gives you space to answer these questions, and it allows you to put that in your press kit, in your bios, and so forth. So Joe had taken it, built his press kit, put his photo in there, a video of him speaking at a local workshop or church or something, and that VIP Interview with You, sent it to the local paper, the Chattanooga Times. Well, on a Sunday, it must have been slow news day, whatever, They gave him a full page in the Chattanooga Times about him and his practice, how he's helping senior clients prepare for retirement.
Nice.
Right? His business is skyrocketed from that. He monetized that for 15 years, you know, of being able to leverage that newspaper article. By leveraging that, he got on the radio, he got on TV, all because that one opportunity. Some call it dumb luck, but if you don't put the steps in place to create the opportunities, dumb luck can't happen.
Yeah, you'll guarantee yourself bad luck.
Yeah. You know, so doing those basic steps there, doing the sales funnel, you know, creating conversations with people, you know, offer to put the books in your joint venture partners' offices. You know, so if you're working, you have a couple of doctors you work with, or you have, you know, the public library, donate some books to the public library, you know, different things you can place these books where people can get their hands on them. You know, but yeah, so I mean, looking at offices, you know, like talk to your PNC agent who you do business with for your PNC. See if they'll put a couple books in their waiting room for you. You know, and think about other businesses that would your clientele would be in front of. You know, talk to some chiropractors. They want to leave some reading material for the people that come into your office. They're not endorsing the material, but they're allowing you to put it in there to
people could just pick it up.
Information, yeah. You know, I did this with newsletters with Tony years ago. You know, I had Tony print out a book of newsletters, you know, 12 issues of our newsletter. And so he printed out 10 books. He only ever delivered one. So it was one doctor. He put it in there. The day after he got a call, he made a $10,000 sale off one newsletter book. You know, and that's something very simple. So using our books, using materials we can put out there and knowing where our clients go can create opportunities for us. So make sure you get that information out there. It does no good sitting on the shelf in our office. We have to get it out there and exposed. You know, so doing some postcards is not a bad idea. You know, pushing people to your website to see the book, you know, drip campaigns, email marketing, you know, these are all things that are going to come together. But starting out, press release is the first. Build that drip, you know, the drip funnel, and then talking to people. That's going to be the three biggest legs of that. And then, you know, whatever from there, just finding the other means to get it out there.
And don't forget getting interviewed on podcasts. And then you get that interview pushed out to people. For social media, what I would do is I'd turn that press release into an image file and share it there on your LinkedIn, your Instagram, Facebook, and everything as kind of an announcement in that way. If you do a podcast, you push out that interview. It's not like I know anybody that does a podcast.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. I wonder who you could call.
You know, it's interesting you say that. And Dave, I'll definitely take you up on that if you ever need a guest.
Probably in September or so. Yeah.
Okay. I did an interview with this guy Brian. He runs a podcast called Success Profiles Radio. He's got magazine, podcast. And he just asked me one day. I wrote a couple articles for his it's like an online magazine, but I wrote a couple of articles for him over the course, and he asked me to do an episode. And yeah, I got a pretty solid lead. Now, ultimately, they didn't do anything. So I will say that, but it was a pretty solid appointment with somebody who is actually in Hawaii. I never would have run into this person otherwise. And you know, we were initially talking a $20,000 a year premium. He, you know, eventually, you know, kind of fizzled away. But you know, I'm just dripping on him now and see what happens over time. But you know, it didn't cost me anything but 40 minutes to do that interview. And, you know, he ended up going to Amazon and buying my current book. And that's how we connected.
There you go.
Derek, I just did a presentation. So last week I did a presentation for 33 people. Not one person has called me. I did a presentation this week for 2 people signed up, 5 people showed up, and I have an appointment with one of them.
Yeah, it's so weird.
So you don't know.
Yeah.
But one of the key things about these is it's not about who happens to see it; it's who you generally push it out to. So it's you know, like I've been published in the IRC, the Register, and such. It's not who's reading it, it's who I'm going to be sending it to. That's so much
Okay.
more important and more valuable than, hey, because one of my podcast hosts, I swear, he just wants to be internet famous. I'm like, no, that's not the point. The point is we're creating content, we're engaging with our current audience. The question is,
Sure.
who's going to engage back with us from there? It's who we're pushing it out to, not who happens to find us, but we'll take that too, but it's not
Yeah.
the purpose.
Yes,
Gotcha.
it's monetizing the material you have. You know, and when you have third-party credibility, the more you put it out there, the more credible you actually are. When you have
Right.
people post the material, posting things you've written. You know, I write articles register all the time. Every month I have a new one. Every quarter I have a new one in there. It does register. I love the magazine. There's about 6,000 members in the organization, but again, that's not my bulk of my market either. You know, so taking the information, sharing it on LinkedIn, sharing the articles, letting the newspapers know, hey, I was published again for the 15th time. I call the Wall Street Journal. I send it to them all the time. Different things. You know, you'll be surprised what happens from there once you start putting the word out, especially when you have third-party endorsements of your material. So,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah, it reminds me of what's her face? She's in the Tampa area, but if you know do you know Rebecca Walzer?
Not familiar with her.
She wrote a book called Wealth Unbroken. She's right here. She used to be an Ohio National rep, but she's on, I mean, she's on Fox Business, she's on this show and that show, and I'm just like, yeah. So I mean, who knows what could come from it. I just want to make sure that I do it right, and I'll probably harass you a whole lot more in the next several weeks.
Absolutely. I know Stacy's been on my butt, have me look at proofs of book covers for the last 3 days. So
Nice.
we are collaborating on that, me and her, trying to find the best
Awesome.
options. So I think she sent 3 of them this morning to you.
Yeah, I just saw them a little while ago. I hadn't opened the email yet, but yeah, she just sent them within the hour.
Yeah. She's been working on them for the last 2 days. We've been grinding through them. Yeah, let me know what you think of those, and if we need more, we can always do more. You know,
Absolutely.
All right. So
Great.
we had a question come in the chat. I'm a new agent with a company that teaches home visits. I want to do virtual sales, phone and video. Do you have Insurance Pro training for virtual sales? The easy answer is yes. All right. I'm not a big fan of phone sales, but anytime we can do video sales, we're still in the face-to-face model, just using a different medium. I just had this conversation an hour before this call with an agent who's doing the same thing. Newer agent struggling, trying to get in the business and do something a little different. So the virtual sales process, you know, when you're doing it over Zoom, over even FaceTime, Skype, Teams, Google Meet, whatever, it does not matter what medium you're using, you're still at a video face-to-face. So as long as you're not trying to sell a product. Now, where a lot of companies go wrong, they teach you how to sell product virtually, and product does not sell. Problems sell, solutions sell. So if you're focusing on learning, you know, how to ask the right questions, how to identify the pain points prospects have, how to provide an accurate, non-cookie cutter solution to your prospects, the virtual or face-to-face sales is the exact same. Minor differences. Now, I've been doing virtual sales before it was cool when COVID came out. Okay. I was using Skype. I was using Zoom when it first started. I was doing calls all over the Eastern Seaboard of clients out in California. It did not matter to me. I didn't care where they were because I could still see them face to face. As long as they had video, I was great. If they didn't have video, it's a tough conversation. It's like using the phone. You can't read emotion. You can't gauge engagement. It's a lot more difficult to engage to determine where we are in the process in that frame. But using a face-to-face medium like Zoom, Google Meet, whatever, it's the exact same sales process for me. Minor differences using a little bit of tools.
So you did, but here's the thing. I agree with you. You have to have your sales process dialed in first. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have the dialed in first, meaning you can do the sales process blindfolded in front of somebody, then you can't do it on a Zoom call as well.
Yeah, you have to have dialed. You have to have some basic expertise. You have to have a level of knowledge of the technique. And I wouldn't even say expert knowledge of the technique. It's again, if you have I have a lady that I've been working with now for a couple of years, and when she first started doing virtual sales for annuities, she was horrible, and she was still making sales, stumbling through the technology, stumbling through the Zoom call, and everything else. It can be a challenge, but again, if you learn to connect with people on a really emotional level, you can stumble, bumble, stutter, fall on your face, and still make a sale.
And get yourself a web document camera. These things are amazing, so that you can still handwrite all the same stuff you would do whenever you're in front of somebody. They're about $100 on Amazon. There's many different models and stuff. I happen to have one from IPEVO. Had it for about 3 years now. The thing's amazing, and it allows you to be as natural as you would be in front of somebody else, as though you were right there. Now, the only thing is that you got to activate that program software first before you open Zoom. Otherwise, Zoom takes over the drivers of your cameras. But it's an easy thing to do, $100, and it makes the entire process so much smoother overall. So you can still focus on the other person. So
yeah, I mean, having the right tools make it easier. That's why I bought a whiteboard laptop. So I have 2 laptops I use. I have one that folds like a tablet, and I can write on. Then I have one for my cameras and so forth. So it's a web document cam. David, what is it called? What's the model and stuff?
IPEVO.
There you go. It's in the chat.
Yeah, IPEVO web document camera, and generally about $100 on Amazon.
Yeah. All right. Gerard, you have a question?
No, I was just gonna point out that for the guy that asked the question on the Zoom calls, or trying to work that way, I love Zoom calls because everyone's so busy these days. It's super convenient, but what I was going to recommend is, before he starts doing that, make sure that you have some type of credibility in place, like a website, your LinkedIn, maybe a Better Business account, absolutely a link to your state license. And that way, when you're reaching out to that prospect, they know you're not some scumbag scammer just calling out of the blue. They can actually verify that you're a licensed professional there to help them.
Yeah, that's the importance of you putting your bio kit too, guys. As you're building your press kit up, you want to have links to your license. Like, that doesn't mean, not the old school printed out, put in a folder, mail it to a company, put on a CD-ROM. You can send it to them in a digital file now, but making sure you have that information accessible. And again, having a website or a Facebook business page, definitely link to your license. Any designations, like if you're part of the RFC, they build you a website. They build you a one-page website talking about your expertise and so forth, your credentials. Having those third-party resources available can change the opportunity from no sale to a sale very quickly by having the right pieces. And it doesn't be some high-end, over-the-top website. 1 or 2, 3 pages, a landing page talking about some of the problems you help people solve, an about us page, which is about you and your team, and a contact form where they can contact you with your phone numbers, address, mailing address, so they can show you have an actual tangible area you work. That makes sense? What other questions do you guys have today?
By the way, the issue of credibility is an interesting
document.
Oh, sorry.
Jeremy, I have a question.
Okay.
If I have an opportunity to purchase a scrubbed list of people turning 65 for my Medicare market, do you think that's a good idea or not? Because I don't really see myself getting on the phone and calling these people.
Yeah. The simple answer is the money's always in the list, right? It's something I learned very early on as an internet marketer. The money's always in the list. The more people you have to market to, not just like pick up the phone and call, the more people to market to, the better results you're going to have. So if it's going to come with email addresses, phone numbers, mailing addresses to send letters and emails out are low cost to get people to raise their hand and want to talk to you. So yeah, I'm not going to say pick up the phone and dial 1,000 people. That's just not my style, not what I teach. But marketing those people, so buying the list is a good idea. Reaching out, marketing them, letting them know there's an alternative to the normal of what's being done, that you're here to help them, and just give them some information that may want to help get your name in front of them. I mean, Medicare sales is not a lot you can do with marketing wise, right? You're very regulated on what you can do, say, everything else. But getting more information out to people, letting them know there's alternatives to the agents they're already seeing. Again, because you have a leg up. Is there, in certain areas, there's very few female agents out there. So giving a deciding factor of, for again, there's a lot of widowed women out there that don't trust men. So getting your name and face out there. So if I was gonna buy a list, I'd be looking for you, a list of widowed women around Boynton Beach, around West Palm Beach, and take her into that whole marketplace, because that's the driving factor that decides. It can be a very helpful factor for you, is getting people that there is a female voice out there that can help them.
So regarding the Medicare, Sarah, I recently connected with a primary care physician's office that has multiple locations, and I met a rep who actively recruits patients. And so this particular company only accepts Medicare Advantage. So where are you? West Palm Beach area?
Yes.
Okay. I don't think they have a location over there yet, this particular company, but basically anybody who's 60 and older, doesn't have a Medicare Advantage plan, and they could even have a supplement plan or just original Medicare, they refer it over to me to just, to write them up. And, if there's other opportunity from there, I'll take that in a separate appointment. But if you can get in with something like that, where they're actively doing it, so I wrote, it's not a ton of business, but I wrote 4 plans from them in July, just from them. So it definitely boosts the business, and they're pretty easy sales because they're being referred over to you by the PCP office. So it's super easy. So if you can get in there, then, and it's no cost to you. So might be worth visiting a couple of those types of locations that cater to that 60 and over market.
And where are you located, Derek?
I'm in the Tampa area.
So basically you tied in with some offices where they have multiple offices.
Yeah, but only 2 or 3 around by me. And they're not that close together. Well, I guess 2 of them are. And basically how I met them was through something I really didn't feel like doing, and that was one of those business doctor networking groups that I hate going to, and I happened to meet the rep and we hit it off. So you don't know if I don't know if you're contracted through an IMO or whatever, but if you are, or even the carriers themselves sometimes will send invites for those types of events.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So getting back to that list that you were talking about, Jeremy, the widowed women.
Mm-hmm.
Is there such a link, or I guess just single women?
Yeah, I mean, single women, would be the same type of list. Again, it's that right market. Again, the bulk of insurance being purchased today is by women. So taking advantage of that on the life insurance side, but also on the Medicare side, becoming that proactive voice. I mean, you wrote a book about finance for women. Why not stick with that same marketplace? Because I guess that's going to be, if you can get the message out to more of the people. And it's, again, how big a list are you thinking of buying?
I'm sorry?
How big a list?
Not very big, maybe like 200 names.
I would shoot bigger. Because again, because the law of large numbers comes into place when you get thousands of people or more, right? So typically, if I'm buying a list, like I bought a list of insurance agents last year, I bought 14,000 names.
Right, but you're doing it via email.
Correct. So
if I
to do 1,000, you could do both. You know, or not saying 1,000 emails, 1,000 letters all at once. But if you buy a list of 1,000 people or more, and then slowly drip out information over time, you're going to have more opportunities. 200 is not enough, because when you're doing direct mail, you know, you're only getting about a 2% response typically, and about a 2 to 15% response would be an email. So you got to be sending out thousands of pieces. So even if you do it all email, buy a list of 10,000 people and drip out via email to them. Don't do any hard letters. Just do birthday cards as they come in or whatnot. You know, that kind of stuff. Keep it really simple.
Hey, Sarah, I wanted to throw out there that I've read numerous articles that when their spouse passes away, it's a high number, like 70 or 80% of them change their advisor because they were completely ignored by men are stupid. They're completely ignored by their advisor. I would be looking at being a woman. I would be looking at widowed women looking for a professional female advisor.
Okay.
You know, so that's a key word you want to put on your website too. Professional female advisor. You know, and really target your keywords, you know, on your site to that marketplace.
I have that on my website. It says professional female advisor because that's how I identify.
Right.
Oh, I could go after the black market too and say I identify as a black woman.
That's right.
Oh,
This call is breaking down very fast. Yeah. So
here's my question about that for Sarah before you go on. So how many, if it's in the 60s, are there as many widows as there are in their 70s or their 80s? That's my question. And is that truly the target market? So I don't know the math on that, but my first thought was when you said 60s, I'm thinking, well, there aren't as many widows in 60s as there are at 70.
True.
So that's my thought.
Yeah, so that's not a bad thought process to start a little older rather than getting the T65 group. Go after the ones that already have established, but there's still tons of opportunities there. Absolutely. So
including a T67.
What was that, Derek? Sorry.
A T67 would work as well because a lot of those people, I know like AEP's coming up, but outside of AEP, if they're on any sort of special needs plan, they can change every 90 days. So if they're not in the right plan, you put them in the right plan, you'll probably land them for life.
Yep. Absolutely.
And nobody's bothering them.
You know, there's, and again, I couldn't do it, but women, there's a lady here in town that does, she's not a financial advisor and she's some kind of a consultant, but she does her presentations to women. And it's for women only. And she does a wine and whatever for ladies' night or whatever. And she does a little presentation and they all hang out. And usually there's like 30, 40 people in there and it's all women. Now, I couldn't pull that off for a wine and cheese or whatever, because it's just not going to happen. But if you're a woman, that's a huge opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, Judith Nichols, my agent I had years ago, that I trained, John and Judy Nichols were my dad's. John worked for my dad. Judy was a hairdresser at the time. Judy got in the insurance business a couple of years later, and was probably one of the foremost advisors in the West Palm Beach area on Medicare. Now she has since retired. She's got to be late 70s now. You know, but she focused, when she first originally started, focused exclusively on older women, and because that was most of her clients already, her hairdressing clients. were mostly 65 plus. Besides the few outliers like me and my dad that had the cut our hair, you know, we're the younger guys in the group, you know. So, but again, that, you know, reaching out to the older marketplace, showing them there's a qualified professional that's they can identify with, that they can work with, that's going to give them impartial advice, non-product driven, you know, information is going to be a godsend to them. So, make sense?
Yes. One more question. If one is going to do a ton of emails, is there a program that you know of that's reasonably priced?
There's two that I'm using right now. I'm using Pipedrive, which Pipedrive does automated email processing. So you build sales funnels in Pipedrive and drip out information to a prescribed group over a certain period of time. It's a workflow automation. If I want to do broadcast emails to a large group of people, I'm going to use MailChimp. MailChimp is a very high delivery rate. As long as you have your backend A record set up on your website to send through, it'll brand it to your name, sent on behalf of you via MailChimp. And it's a tremendously easy service to use, but there's tons of them out there. You can use SendGrid, Mailgun, Constant Contact, you know, all those different pieces. But I think for me, MailChimp's one of the simplest and the most inexpensive.
Now, don't they require you to have permission from the individual to email them?
Yeah, that's why I recommend starting with Pipedrive. You know, especially with a cold list, because with a cold list, you can do. I've been doing cold outreach through Pipedrive, and they have not had a problem. I'm not sending thousands of letters at once. I'm sending 50 to 100 emails a day to new prospects through Pipedrive. And would those go out after 7 days, you know, they receive 3 or 4 messages in those 7 days, right? So I can eliminate the people that don't want it from the list. I can see who's opening. I can see what traction they have. Once I have that 7-day period where I'm marketing to them, I have it Pipedrive through Zapier, send that to MailChimp. That way I can put up my broadcast mail at that point. So it's a warming up process we go through with Pipedrive to get them into MailChimp. Does that make sense?
But you're sending the business though, Jeremy, aren't you?
Individual agents. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little bit different.
A little bit, but not tremendous amount. I mean, I've done flourish to individual prospects too here in Georgia. I did the same exact process. As long as you warm up the letters first. You know, you got to go through a warm-up sequence of getting your email recognized, but also sending a few letters to them first before putting them in a broadcast mail program. And whether you do it via a program like Pipedrive or doing it from your Gmail account, you know, or a Yahoo account and mailing out 25 a day from there, you're still warming up the people to get them to want to be on your list.
So there are companies that focus on cold email outreach.
Yep.
And here's the reason I'm bringing that up is because my thought was, if you're going to do, for example, let's say a webinar to a cold, and you want to target, let's call it 60-year-old men that have an income of whatever, right? And you get a 20,000 email list and you cold email to them. You want to do it from the service because you don't want to ruin your IP.
Yep.
Right? Your IP address. So you land them on somewhere that says, hey, here's something for you that you may be interested in. Sign up here. And that's how you build the list rather than using your own system to do so.
Correct. There's lots of ways to do it.
Okay, I'm just making sure that thought process makes sense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Again, even the cold outreach I do, there are stages where they have to watch a video, click on a link, respond to an email, or request a free report. Is always in every email I send out. So there's all those different steps. But again, there's lots of ways to do it, but if you want to do a permission-based model, yeah, then getting them to opt into a newsletter you're sending out, getting them to opt in for a free report as you're doing the cold outreach is a good way to do it also. So what other questions do we have today?
So Jeremy, I have a few questions.
Okay.
So if you have a personal book that you've written, can that be as anything that is used and it has nothing about financials or insurance? It's just your life story. Is that something that can be used with the insurance?
I would say no. Again, people are going to want information they can find valuable for their life that will enrich their life. So a book about your life story, well, maybe interesting for friends and family and stuff like that. So my dad wrote his about about our family history and so forth. But it's not something I'm going to sell or give away because it has no relevance to anybody else, right? So I'm going to I would think about writing a financial book of that nature if I'm going to do it on the financial side. Having a book tied to your industry.
All right, thank you.
It could help catapult your message if it relates to your why, as to why you do what you do, but you need to expound on how you serve your intended client. So that's what if you ever read he's not on here anymore. If you read Derek's books, that's what he focuses on, because he brought his story in as a Wall Street trader, and then things fell apart after 9/11. And I think 2008 he talks about, and he goes into why he wants to help people have a better foundation than what we were led to believe. So it depends on how you pivot from it. So
Derek has books?
2, yeah.
Derek has 2, yeah. And I think I've got both of them.
Derek Nelson?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, one is on the Resource Center. He gave me permission years ago when I helped him put together to distribute to all the agents that are members. So it's Financial Peace in a Post-Pandemic World is the name of the first book. And the second book, which we're designing now, is Retire Max. And that should be out in the next 3 to 4 months.
Where is the book on the Resource Center?
That's a great question.
I think I saw it right on the front page today.
I think it's on the very front page, yeah.
So are you helping him to do the book, or have you helped him to finish that?
No, so with Derek, we he's hired us to design covers and help him design the layout, the graphic design, and so forth. He writes all his own content. And again, that where a lot of agents come to me for. Like even with Tony and Tony's book, he used a lot of my content, wrote it in his own words, and then did his own graphic. I just did the forward for him. I helped him write a glaring forward for him to help get the penetration in the marketplace, but also Lou wrote a review for him, help him get it started. So we're open to do that kind of stuff, but I'm not going to write content for you. Unfortunately, that's I have a hard to form content for myself.
You don't want to be my ghostwriter, Jeremy?
No, that's not my expertise.
But the advantage of writing it yourself is that it's your voice, your tone, your inflections, your belief that's coming through, and it has to be there. And if it's not, believe me, people can tell when it's disingenuous, but when it's your voice, there's a whole different feeling because it's a piece of you now going forward. So don't shy away from writing your own content, and it's a skill set that needs to be developed.
Yeah. And again, with all the different tech, even if you do decide to hire a ghostwriter, do the bulk of the writing yourself before giving to somebody else to write. That way they can fill in the blanks and continue the thought process, the emotion of that nature.
Yeah.
You want to be in the most control of it. So even when we hired, when Wally was still around doing writing for us, when we wrote the Living Debt Free and Truly Wealthy book, me and Lou, we wrote probably 75-80% of it, and let Wally finish up the other 15% to make it right. Have the right layout, have the right, spellings. He did all the proofreading for us, and things like that. So you want to make sure you maintain most of the control over it. 65%, 75% of it should be written by you, even if it's rough ideas, just thrown together. Then you want to hire them to expand on them and round them out. That would be okay. That would be usable still.
I found where the book is located on the site. It's
Okay.
updates, news articles, and tools, and then you very first icon, new videos, files, tools, and then just scroll down.
Yep.
And you don't have to scroll down that far, I don't think. Yeah, not even halfway down.
Okay, can I ask you one more thing, Jeremy? So, well, you know how that person who underwriter declined him, he three-way called me in yesterday with the doctor's office, and the person said that he has no alcohol issues, and they said they will send me a letter to send it to the underwriter. So I said, okay, whatever you have, just send it to me. So they send it to me. I send it to the underwriter. I don't know if that will change anything or not.
It will help. It will definitely help. If it's showing note. Okay, so the situation, if I can go through the situation real quick about this case, so everybody knows what we're talking about here. So we had a client that was declined due to self-admission during the medical exam of a 5-year, I guess, in high school drinking binge and trying every drug without needles. Okay, and it was declined by the carrier. And so Felicia's been asking me for different help on this case, trying to see what we can do to get this client issue. So now the client has gone to the doctor's office with those letters. So those letters will definitely help, from the professional, have them dated, signed from the doctor himself. How long ago was he in high school when this whole binge went on?
He's 40 now.
Okay, so this is 20 plus years ago.
Yes.
Okay, so there's some misunderstanding with the carrier then, because they're assuming it was recent based on the notes that we sent back and forth. So definitely hit those letters, send them over to me, and send me as much detail of the situation you can. I'll call my in-house underwriter with it, Mr. Whittington, and see what he thinks about getting it. So again, that we were in this person that was pretty recent. But he's 40 now, so that was 20 years ago. Yeah, so there shouldn't be any issue with that now. So that was longer than the 5-year window. So whatever, again, so it's making sure when he does his next exam, his medical exam, that he doesn't say, I went on a 5-year binge of doing this stuff. Give him a little coaching on how to answer the questions of the paramedical exam. To make sure this doesn't happen again. But I think that would more than suffice if we have that information. Send it over to me and we'll go from there on that one.
Okay,
sometimes an omission of facts is worth it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell them what a loser I was from the years from 18 to 20 years old. I'm never going to.
I think we've all been and done something stupid around that same time. But we again to be penalized on it 20 years later when there's been no other history. It seems a little odd, and that could just be the carrier, but it could be might want to change carriers and look for something a little different, and just give a little coaching to the client to help them how to answer the questions. Don't expound on anything; just answer yes or no.
Yeah,
and let them kind of pull information from you. Well, how long ago was it? Oh, that was 25 years ago. But usually they ask in the last 5 years, have you done any drugs, used any drugs or alcohol? The answer is no. Right.
Yeah, but Jeremy, doesn't the thing go on a decline go on file where other insurance companies will check and see that?
Correct. So again, so it's writing a cover letter with it, on the next policy to document this. Hey, because again, on the app it asks you, was this client previously declined for a policy? The answer is yes. And then we're looking for a set of fresh eyes to go through it because something didn't jive. Something is coming back reported. So again, still getting a copy of the Milliman report, like we talked about, would be a great use to kind of knowing what is on that report that triggered, whether it was his omission or is there something else backing it up on that report. Right. So I had a client decline recently that was declined for self-medication during pregnancy using cannabis. And they declined her for that because she had numerous prescriptions of psychiatric drugs that they were filled once, not refilled. So you can see there was a tendency to fall back on the cannabis as a self-medication. So that's the decline. That was 3 years ago. So I have to wait 2 years to get a doctor's note saying she's under psychiatric care or being completely cleared of all mental issues from here. But that was all found in the Milliman report that talked about that. So getting a copy of the Milliman report is easy. It doesn't cost the client anything, but it does give us some basic information to kind of build from, of seeing what's on that report and what triggered those events. Because it was not just his admission that caused it. It was something else to go along with it in most cases.
I think what they didn't like was that in the application it says, have you ever done narcotics or drugs? And he said no. I think maybe they didn't like that. Marijuana, there was a list on the application. And we said no to that. And then they found that it's yes.
So something had to trigger that.
Yes.
Right. So whether it was his admission during the paramed or on the Milliman report, we want to find out so we can find out the details about it before taking the next step, before trying to rewrite another policy, because without knowing the full scope, if we have a series of declines, it's going to be a not offered for 3 or 4 years before they'll start taking him seriously again. All right. I saw a question here. Can I share a letter for some feedback or something? Yeah, put it in the chat. Put a link in the chat. We'll open it up and take a look at it. Let's go back for a few questions here. Everyone needs an editor. Yes. When you're writing any kind of content, you want to have someone that can proofread the material for correctness, punctuation, grammar, not my strong point, and they can help polish it. Yeah, David, keep laughing.
I will, because it's well deserved and well earned.
It is well deserved, and I don't deny that. That's why I hired Alex, my nephew. He's working at Delta now, but he has been proofreading.
Tony's worse. I just got to say, Tony's worse.
Oh yeah,
Tony is chronically worse.
Oh yes,
yeah,
yes. There's levels, and there's bad, and then there's Tony, then there's me, or me, then Tony. Yeah,
yeah, that's the right out.
Yeah. And it's well deserved. We see this. Neither one can write proper sentences. But yeah, having that editor, someone that can go through the material with you or for you and really help you clean it up is going to be a godsend. Makes you look less incompetent at the time. What is the name of the Q&A template? Q&A template is the VIP interview with you. Yes, it's on the Resource Center. If you go to the second box, which is the Insurance Market Sales Resource Center, down to image branding, there should be a section with the VIP interview on there. All right, now we have this letter. Okay. Okay, so on the letters on the chat, so it's a follow-up letter to a workshop. It starts good. I want to personally thank you for coming to workshop last month. Yep, always beneficial to you. Yep, okay. Now that you have the information on Social Security, complexes involved in the system, and how Max can and will impact your overall retirement plan, I have one question. How do you feel? I like where it's going. I think it needs to be a little bit more there. I like that. If you feel you have some concerns, you probably need help me on the workshop. Let me know I'm here to help you. Yeah, I don't think there's anything really wrong with it. I think there's a little bit more about the feeling. Maybe piggyback a few questions in the same line. do you feel you're going to have a problem in retirement rather than just a blank how do you feel? Give them a couple of probing questions prior to that, and then hit the how do you feel about that question at the end? So do you think you'll have an issue with your Social Security or planning your Social Security? Do you think you'll be able to make the right decision for yourself with limited information? How do you feel about that? And then going into some of the concerns might be a better structuring of it. Does that make sense?
Some of the the concerns as opposed to some of the benefits our clients have seen?
Yeah, focus on the concerns. Absolutely. Because the pain is what's going to get them to meet with you.
Gotcha.
Not the solution. It's always about the problem. So if we focus on the problem, we're going to be able to get more people to say really think about it. How many problems can there be in planning this? So if we're looking at longevity risk, we're talking about the income gap or income cliff they're going to face, and describing those to them, really giving them the pain points that if they don't make a change or don't seek out help, this is the things that could happen. Not trying to scare the hell out of them, but trying to give them some things to think about that, you could do this yourself and try to plan it the best way possible yourself, or you can hire a professional to help you really streamline it and give yourself a worry-free retirement long-term. Does that make sense?
Should I perfect sense. Should I leave any of the benefits in there?
The only one I would leave in there, and I put this kind of at the bottom, would be to gain a complete understanding of your full retirement picture. That makes the most sense. Kind of, if we can eliminate these problems, we can help you gain a complete understanding of your full retirement picture. That kind of logically flows in place there about having to get any of these other sales, securing our lifetime income for retirement, rebalancing on the market, downside risk. Those are all sales positioning statements, but getting the gain a complete understanding of your full retirement picture is the most important thing we're going to help them do. Because again, it's not about the product; it's all about the plan.
Right. Okay.
And I'll tell you a quick story about that. I was talking to Ryan Biniak this morning, and I told Ed this earlier today. When we had our call, Ryan picked up, his first world problems. He picked up 3 new clients this week. One today and has 2 tomorrow, for about $10 million in assets. So $100,000 pay raise for his organization. Not a bad day. First world problems, right? But he's been getting more and more clients lately, not talking about, the products he sells, not the investment returns, not how great their investment portfolio has been. None of it. It's always about the plan, having the strategic plan in place that's going to help them create a roadmap, basically. So, like, for example, he was telling me about, this one client has this Merrill Lynch advisor they absolutely love this advisor. But as they started going through the planning conversation and asking a few questions, do you have a drawn out income plan for your retirement? So they kind of poke some holes into the advisor, but not being overly aggressive with it, but just kind to show that, hey, the plan is the most important part of this. The execution, the guy's made you a lot of money. That's great. I'm happy for you. But if you don't have a plan to distribute it, safeguard it, plan your legacy, create income, it's all for naught.
Right.
So it's really focusing on the plan. So that being, where he's going, so that's what we need to focus on ourselves, is more on the planning opportunity of it, not the investment return, not the gain it's going to get the client, but having the plan in place in general. So when something bad does happen, what's your plan to offset these consequences? If the breadwinner of the family dies tomorrow, what are you going to do? Having a strategic plan in place for that, for income replacement, for creating income retirement. Everything we do revolves on our plan. We are high level insurance planners.
Mhm.
You know, so we have to make sure we use the second plan. That planning word is what we need to be doing and focusing on. Because we can all sell in the return. We also have the same products. So there's no differentiation there. But if we focus on the plan itself, we can create a level above the average advisor that's selling the same product. Because everybody sells NLG, Midland, North American, F&G, Securian, AIG. Those are the core carriers all of us have.
Right.
I don't.
Well, besides the whole life guys, but you guys are a different breed.
Fair enough.
Again, it works the same way on your guys' side. You all have Mass Mutual, you know, you all have Lafayette
Penn Mutual,
NL, same thing, right?
Yeah.
So we got to focus on differentiating ourselves between the other advisors, becoming that red crayon, the crayon, a white box of crayons. How to differentiate yourself from everybody else. So working on the plan differentiates ourselves from most of the advisors out there. Right.
Excellent.
Investment advice.
I have just a little bit different feedback.
Please.
Take it as you will. My thoughts would be, instead of keeping it to the person trying to admit they still have fear, I would generalize it a little bit more. Say, if you're like most of our workshop attendees, they're grateful to know there's solutions, but don't know how to execute these ideas for themselves. I'd like to invite you for an individual consultation call, one-on-one, to discuss your current situation. So it's not getting them to say, yes, I still have fear. No, they just came from your workshop. They feel appeased a little bit that there's some solutions, but do they feel the need to meet with you sooner rather than later? So that's my only thing, is making sure that they're not alone in how they might feel. There's some solutions, you just talked about them. But if they still feel like most people who still leave your workshop, and that makes them feel like most people, they're not alone. There's consensus in just using that term of most people that leave my workshop.
Yep.
They still feel a little confused. They'd like to get some direction for themselves. I'd like to invite you for a one-on-one consultation. And this one's it's extending an invitation rather than having them admit they still have fear. And I think you might get a little bit more response from that, because they'll take you up on an invitation as opposed to admitting that they still have fear.
Absolutely. Nothing wrong with that. Again, not everything that there's a thousand ways to do a lot of these opportunities, a lot of take advantage of a lot of different things. You know, that is a great viewpoint, one that I have not thought of, haven't used in a long time, you know, but that's still, you know, a very valid process. So you can go either way. I mean, there's thousands of ways to write the letter to get people to want to meet with you.
Maybe I'll A/B test it.
Now you have two. Yep. Great. All right.
Awesome. Is this recorded? And can I watch it?
Yes. The recording will be up on the Resource Center probably midday tomorrow.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yep. All right. So Kevin has some questions. 2 questions. Who do I reach out for a phone list of firefighters on the FRS retirement system that are a few months away from receiving the drop account? Okay, so the list of that, I don't know. I think that would probably be a state provided list of some kind. Whether it's public record or not, I do not know.
Jeremy, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep. I didn't know if there was, like back in the day, there used to be a lady called like that list lady or something along that line, where you can give them a granular set of parameters, and this is what I'm looking for. Do you have any thoughts on that, or David?
I would call the state. That's who I'd be reaching out to first, and kind of seeing what kind of information is public record and whatnot of that, and then talk to a couple of list providers locally, or some of the national list providers, to see if they can pull a list on that demographic and what you're looking for.
Right. Okay. I mean, this is a great. I know there are some. You can see the Facebook marketing. There's a few entities here in Florida where that's all they do, because when you're on the FRS program, they've got their drop program. Well, when you do actually retire, that all the money in your drop account has to go into another account.
Mhm.
It can't stay there. So it's a good opportunity.
I know there is someone has the list because there is a group that I know is marketing to federal employees in Florida revolving their deferred comp.
Mhm.
So I assume there'd be something that has the same kind of opportunity for that. So again, reach out to the state first, see what's public information, and then
Right.
call this company.
Okay. And then David replied a little bit about the Connolly versus U.S. Supreme Court regarding buy-sell agreements. Is that, I read his letter on that. Is that something that we should really reach out to, or is it case specific on if they need to have their buy-sell agreements reviewed?
I think it's an excellent reason to reach out to every single business owner that you think that doesn't have anything or has something.
Yeah. Okay. I read your article. I'm just a fireman. I've gotten a little too hot and way too many house fires. So could you give me the nuts and bolts version of how I need to create concern with a guy that has a buy-sell agreement in a process right now and should have it reviewed?
Great concern. Did you hear about the U.S. Supreme Court decision that affects all buy-sell agreements?
No. What are you talking about?
What am I talking about? Okay, well, here's the thing that happened. There's a court case that just went through and has immediate implications on all existing entity buy-sell agreements. Here's what happened. The entity, the business entity, a corporation, received the life insurance proceeds, but did not pay them back out to a new shareholder. So it retained the proceeds. And so when the estate was valued and that ownership was included in the estate, they included the life insurance proceeds in the estate tax calculation. Even though it should be paid out to a new shareholder, it wasn't. It was retained by that corporation, which affected the estate tax. That's what happened. Basically, it has invalidated the use of entity buy-sell agreements going forward. And so in order to make sure that we're on top of this, because if we don't address this in your planning, not only could this be a taxable estate issue, but the estate tax, if the Trump Tax Cuts and Jobs Act does not continue, depending on who wins as president, you can suffer, your estate can have a serious estate tax issue. So we need to revisit that just to see if you're okay or if we need to make some changes. Okay. Now, if that doesn't get a business owner's attention, and use my article, there's no reason why you can't use my article. It even talks a little bit about some of the solutions. I quoted the tools and techniques of life insurance planning in there for a couple of parts on here's how you go about fixing it, which I haven't seen a whole lot of anybody else quoting. So that's what's unique about mine. It's a 2-pager. You can print front and back and, get those out to business owners that Let's just double check. And if they don't have any buy-sell planning of any kind, that can open a door just because it's current news.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about existing mom and pop people that I know do have buy-sell plans. So if the beneficiary, what is it a red flag if the beneficiary is the entity is the beneficiary? Is that what could be bad?
That could be bad if the entity is the owner of the policies and the entity is the beneficiary of the policies. That's essentially the entity buy-sell. Believe me, it's been a crash course for me because I have been named as for the registered business consultant designation that has yet to be announced. I am the chairperson, and believe me, I get to learn about all this stuff. And so that makes me the quasi-expert in name because I'm still learning about all this stuff. So, but the neat thing is that this article and the fact that it's current news makes it a timing issue just to talk to people about it. And they said, well, I think I've got a cross-purchase buy-sell. Great, no problem. Let's review what you have anyway. It doesn't matter. When was the last time it was reviewed? What's the formula for calculating the business value if you pass it another 5 years? If your business plan was done 5 years ago, 10 years has passed, is there enough coverage? There's all kinds of conversations that can be had just for bringing up the topic.
Okay. So the way it should be is a cross purchase then?
cross purchase. However, imagine you have a cross purchase agreement with 2 owners is easy. Doing a cross purchase with 10 owners is insane.
Yeah.
So one of the solutions is that the corporation or the entity has a separate entity that we call as an insurance LLC, and let the insurance LLC buy the policies to mimic the cross purchase kind of a thing with an outside entity. So it mimics something. I am not the expert on that stuff. Check with, whoever you do your advanced underwriting cases with, figure out how to structure all that. But the important thing is that however everything's structured, everything needs to be revisited and double checked. And existing policies, the article, because I quote the tools, techniques of life insurance, they basically say do a reduced paid up so you don't have to make any more premium payments. Of course, don't do that until you have new coverage in place. And this way you could avoid transfer for value rules. So there's a whole lot of homework that needs to be done on those if there's an existing plan in place. But if there's no plan in place, hey, you could do it right from the beginning and we don't have to worry about trying to correct anything going forward.
Where's the article?
Exactly.
The article, I put it in my response to him. It's in the chat. I call it DHK Connolly.
Oh, right here. Got it.
Yeah.
All right. So we had a couple of other questions. Is there a company that produces newsletters on the sub that we would like to create for us? Yes. So I actually, so in the resource center, we offer 6 months of generic newsletters that you can use, replicate, send out to your clients. Or we have a customized newsletter program where we actually help you design it, lay it out for you, write new content. And so you have full access to that, both, for PDFs to email out, a full email ready version that's HTML driven so you can share it online, all kinds of tools up there. All right, just email me about that. I can tell you more about it. I'm also just curious how to do workshops. I've never done them before. So educational workshops are a great tool to leverage, because you're taking advantage of people's ability to congregate and feel if they're not going to be sold, right? So educational workshops are designed to get 5-10 couples to a room, whether you do it monthly, weekly basis, does not matter, and deliver a message that talks about some of the problems they have and allude to a solution so they want to meet with you. The whole goal of the workshop is to get an appointment, right? So it's all about giving them a little bit of education, a little bit of knowledge, share your expertise with them, and get them to raise their hand to want more, that this problem does apply to them. So I'm doing my Living Debt-Free and Truly Wealthy workshops. I'm focused on my target market, people 35 to 55, families with kids who own homes. I'm getting 5, 10, 15 couples to a room. I'm doing a 45-minute presentation called Living Debt-Free and Truly Wealthy that goes through, talking about how big a problem debt is, the fact that people aren't saving for retirement anymore, that there's going to be some major issues if they continue to do nothing about their future. Okay. And we show them how to do it with no money out of pocket. We talk about that a lot in the presentation. So it's a very simple presentation to get people to raise their hand saying, hey, if I can get the insurance I need, the retirement I need, and it's not cost me a penny more than I'm spending now, I guess I can meet with you. That's the desired result from that. But doing the workshop, looking for, a public library, a senior center, no hotels, typically, unless you want to buy food, restaurants. I use a barbecue place here in town. They have a separate room, but they only charge me like $10 a head for tea and pecan pie. It's inexpensive for me to do, so I just do that, coffee and refreshment type thing. No dinners, none of that stuff. So depending on where you are, what you can do there's lots of opportunities. And then just getting people there is a matter of just whether you want to do a bulk direct mail, email marketing, Facebook advertisements, letting your warm market know, inviting your warm, not at the cost of bringing a friend. There's all kinds of things you can do there to get, again, 5 or 10 couples to a room. and deliver your message. You know, it doesn't have to be overly complicated. Again, we have, you know, in our systems, we have different PowerPoints. I think we have 8 or 9 different PowerPoints now for all different types of markets, all the invitation pieces, the ad slicks, you know, some of the social media advertisements you can use to get people there. Those are all involved in the systems. Okay, next question. Are there any other benefits besides the following to annuities? Principal protection, bypass probate, guaranteed lifetime income, tax deferred growth, creditor protection. I'm sure there are, you know, but those are the big 5, big 6 of what we're preaching to people, you know. And again, you know, for annuities, the benefit of an annuity for majority of my clients is the guaranteed lifetime income, nothing else, because the fact that it bypasses probate, tax for growth, protection is all great, but one, annuities transfer horribly. So if you're putting all the class money in annuities, you're doing them a disservice. I think annuities are way oversold today, way oversold, and people don't take it into account how bad they are at transfer. So when a client dies, it transfers as ordinary income. It is horrible income wise, transfer wise. You know, but for creating an income stream, a small growth leg for, you know, potential long-term care, that's that kind of stuff. But then, you know, it should be an amount of life insurance being sold with the annuities at the same time. You know, and that's the way to protect the client from those horrible transfers. But those, again, those are the big 5 or 6 things that we talk about. You know, principal protection, lifetime income, tax for growth, creditor. I'm talking about bypassing probate a lot, but creditor protection, you know, if you're sued, you have that. In most states, you have creditor protection, but in most states, not all. There's a few that want to be just jerks. But
sorry, it's not, I didn't write the laws here in California.
I know. So
strangely enough, New York seems to have unlimited creditor protection.
Yeah, I mean, you know, New York is for client protection. They are one of the best. For actually writing business, they're one of the absolute worst because they're so far over and above. Conservative nature of them is ridiculous. The amount of forms you have to fill out. I was talking to Tony. He has a couple of clients in New York, and they have this new rule regarding digital information. And the firm he was going to have to hire to apply to this rule is going to cost him like 10 grand a year for like 4 cases he wrote in New York. It's ridiculous. This Digital Information Act thing, and it's a nightmare. You have to hold information. It's secured online. Has to be maintained for 10 years. It's a nightmare. You know, the amount of stuff. Reg 21 up there is horrible, and the commissions suck in New York. Let's be real. I mean, the commissions are horrible. Very limited product wise. Majority whole.
When'd you get that?
Very few IULs are available up there. Very few income riders are available.
Off the dot.
But yeah. So what other questions do you guys have? We got about.
Hey, Jeremy, I have a question.
Go ahead.
I emailed you this that I'd asked today too. It's about the RMDs.
Okay.
There are 3 sections of the RMDs, right? The age 72, what year did that end? The age 73, when did it start? When does it sunset? And the age 75, when does it start?
Okay. So the age 75 starts to anybody after born after 1960.
Okay.
All right.
So in other words, January 1, 1961.
Yeah. 1960.
Oh, 1960?
Yes. So anything before that, so 1959 and below, falls to the 73 guideline, and I don't know how far back that goes. Because again, after that, if you're born prior to 1950, you're already over 72 anyways, for the most part.
Yeah, because my associate found a couple people that never paid their thing recently, and it's 72%, and they're like going crazy. So I was wondering about that, and especially the older clients, the older clientele, the 75 or 70, the older ones.
Well, the good news is the penalty has been reduced. It's no longer 50%, it's 25%. So it's a much lower. I know it's still a lot, but it's better than the 50% R&D penalty. It's only 25% of the penalty now. So it is catastrophic, but not as catastrophic.
Okay. Also, the other thing I've been trying to check on, and I haven't been able to find is the year factor. Like currently is 73, so it would be 26.5. What is the number to get that dollar rate? Because I was trying to work on that. I think, was it you or was it my associate that sent me the forms, and it has like, from 500,000, 4% growth rate, but yet the numbers I get are coming out different. So I'm wondering, what is the rate? Like the year factor is one thing. How do you get the rate? So you can multiply that and get the correct.
You don't multiply, you divide it.
You divide it?
Take the amount and divide it by the factor. And that will give you the amount of the RMD.
So if it's 500,000, 377.36, and the factor is 26.5, you divide that by 26.5?
You divide the 500,000 by the 26.5, that should give you the RMD amount.
So when it says 26.5, it's actually 0.265 or 26.5?
26.5.
26.5.
26 and a half years of longevity left.
Okay.
That's what the factors are. The factors are years left, basically, based on your current age.
And would that be taken at the year end after all the growth has been included, or is that taken before the growth, like what starts on January 1? I mean, ends on December 31st the year before.
Yeah, end of December 31st the year before, whatever that statement balance is, that's the amount that you use.
Okay, and that's probably why my numbers are a little bit off then. I'm using the year, I guess 1 year after. So I was wondering why it's like 1,000 or a couple thousand off. Okay, thanks. I wanted to figure that out.
Yeah.
I guess I did. Okay, thank you.
No problem. So we got time for one more question.
Okay, I'll toss the long one then.
All right. Of course you would, Tony.
Now, wait a
You're going
minute,
to keep us here for 40 minutes, aren't you?
It's not 4 o'clock yet. Come on now. Okay. You've got Hagna, you've got Mueller, you've got Slot. Basically, everybody is throwing massive red flags and saying that, what we had this week is just a tip of the iceberg on what they're saying that the withdrawal or recession that we're going to have. If you've got, let's say, so, and of course, Mueller is big on the idea of having, money in whole life to where you can basically have the money sitting there, and then, it's like after the crash, you can come back in. Someone's sitting on, $150,000, and, it's spread out between Roth. It's basically it's all in the market, but it's in Roths and 401k, or no, excuse me, IRA, personally held IRA.
Mm-hmm.
How do you actually accomplish the protection they're talking
about? Okay, I'm gonna make sure I get this question right. So the client has majority of the money in the Roth IRA and a traditional IRA. We want to find out how to protect it. So, Van's strategy for re-entering the market is, you want to fund the whole life prior to, and then take a distribution from the whole life, a withdrawal or loan, and invest it in the market for a day longer than 12 months. So you get the long-term capital gain treatment, and then sell it to create a profit and pay yourself back. Then you can reinvest it again at that point. Rinse and repeat type strategy. Something to add, David? You're waving a book.
I say I wrote about that in Tom Hegna's book. I'm here on page 76. My picture's in there, and I wrote exactly about that. Of course, I stole it completely from Van Miller, but since he promotes doing research, I freely did my research off of him. I just put it in my own words, and and it works. So, but yeah, you borrow against a whole life policy, and when the market's low. And by the way, what you'll find interesting this week is that the headlines for Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever it was, is that people who bought, there were institutions that bought at the market dips. So there are people that have money on the sidelines, and obviously Warren Buffett probably does too, although I don't know if he made any huge market moves either. But being able to take advantage of market dips so that you don't become a victim of the market, but you can actually take ethical, legal advantage of these dips and just being positioned to do so. Everything else, life insurance and annuities. That was what my entire podcast was with Tom Hegna the other day. That annuities, assuming fixed annuities, you're not correlated to the market, so your money is protected. Your income would be protected, even if it's a variable annuity. Your income would be protected from it because your income is locked in based on your living benefit riders. And then life insurance lets you borrow against it, invest in the market. Just make sure you hold on to your investment for longer than 12 months. This way you get long-term capital gain treatment. Because if you do it less than 12 months, then it's ordinary income. That's the only issue on that. Just find something you like to invest in.
Right.
And so this way you can be, so it's not the fact that it's a Roth IRA or the fact that it's a traditional, whatever it is, it's what is it in? Because the thing about a Roth IRA is you still can't get access to. I mean, you can withdraw from it and do something else with it. You can reallocate it. You can invest it in whatever, but it doesn't have its own protections, in these terms of the balance. The main thing about a Roth IRA is that you have the tax freedom currently. I still have my conspiracy theory hat that eventually it's going to be taxed in one way or another, but it's better to have it there than nowhere. So.
Right. But so the person's sitting there right now with, basically a Schwab account. Schwab is the, where it's all setting, and it's divided between, Roth and, it's like tradition. Well, actually there's all three. There's some that is not qualified money. There's qualified money and there's Roth money, but it's all in the same, all under the same Roth umbrella.
It's all the same umbrella, but again, all the different alphabet soup names of these products, names of these tools are just tax codes.
Exactly.
Underlying investment that we have to worry about.
Right, but they're all sitting there right now. That's where they're sitting now. The person has not done any, does not already own the whole life insurance or the annuities.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's like, what are the steps from going where it is right now, fully in the market in those three, tax code, entities? How, what is the steps to actually get this to where it's in the, in the strategy that that's being promoted by Hegna, Mueller, etc.
Okay. So as far as getting the money out, we have to get money out of the market in general. All right. So anytime we have to get money out of the market, there has to be a sale of the underlying investment.
Right.
And the money moved to a cash position. That way we can transfer it out to the life insurance company for either the life insurance or the annuity.
So step one is sell it all and throw it into the money market that's in Schwab.
Correct. That way it can be transferred the most efficient way possible. Now, with some forms, you can typically the client will have to sell off the investment prior to, in most circumstances, not all. Right. But so anytime that there's a sale made, there's going to be fees. There's going to be, it might create a taxable event for them for non-qualified funds. If the Roth's not 5 years or older, it creates a lot of headaches. So there's things we have to consider in that same frame. But so any money that's due taxable will need to be paid prior to the transfer, or during the transfer we cashed out and paid to pay the taxes off for that year. And then it can be put into the life or annuity contract and receive all those benefits from there. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, and then okay, but as far as choosing the how long from the time that you fund the whole life contract until okay, let's say 60 days from now is when the mythical magic giant crash happens.
Yep.
Are you going to have access to that money at that time, or it's like, is that too fast?
No, the company may take time to get the money moved, but if the client moves the cash, the money market, that's the safest position to be in. So they won't absorb that crash. But again, if we're not securities, we can't give that buy sell advice, right? We can't legally do that. We're not licensed to do so. So,
well, the main thing, you're talking about the mechanics of how it works.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily giving them advice saying that, we need to recommend that you take it out of this risk position and put it into a non-risk. You say, if you want these benefits and you want to fund it from here, this is the mechanics. This is how it works. But you're not giving advice by saying, these stocks suck. You're not doing anything like that. So,
yeah, we're not saying to go, sell it off and buy 10 shares of NVIDIA or whatever. We're not giving a direct buy. We're giving mechanical advice that's going to buy. We're giving mechanical instructions, not investment advice.
Exactly. And the fact is that you're not giving the advice because of the securities. You're giving the advice because of the tax structure and the fact that there is market volatility. That's a given. One of the things I happen to like about the recent DOL talk, I'm glad it's all defeated so far. But what I like is that it actually gives carve-outs that shows that you can give investment education without it being considered investment advice. And I happen to actually like that. It gave some clarity on that stuff. So it keeps us all out of trouble as long as we follow the rules and stay within those guidelines. So yeah, you're just talking about the mechanics. Now, as far as how quickly can they get at it once it's in the life insurance contract, will depend on how it's structured. And also depends on if the life insurance company is going to send you an anti-money laundering disclosure form. Because if they want to borrow against it within, let's say, the first year, you're going to get an email.
Yep.
And you're going to say, how well do you know the client? Where are these funds coming from? What are they doing? Things like that. It doesn't mean they can't do it. It just means you have to be able to show your due diligence. Yep. Not impossible. They're not saying the client can't do it, but you're going to need to, let them know what's going on.
Now, your book that you held up, is that available as PDF, or basically is it only hard copy? And where is that book?
What, Tom Hegna's book?
Oh, you said you wrote the chapter in Tom's book, is what you said.
I wrote about 5 pages out of 120 in here. This is the laziest. It took Tom Hegna 4 years to publish this book, and he has all these other people that are contributing to it, which was cool and lazy all at the same time, but great for him. You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon. It's there in it's there for Kindle, and it's there also as paperback.
What's the title on that one?
Tom Hegna's Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Oh, the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Okay, cool. Got it.
All right. Well, that is all the time we have. I have an appointment tonight that I cannot miss, so I have to get off here earlier than not for once. But so thank you guys for coming out today. I know this is a long hour and 40 minutes or so of us talking. Hope you guys found some value of it. If you're not a member of the Resource Center, definitely check it out. I know a lot of these guys on the call will vouch for it. That it's for less than $40 a month. The variety of training and the opportunities for trainings you get is bar none. With that being said, that's all we have for today. For my guys that are in the Resource Center, we have a class next Thursday at 3 p.m. It'll be our personal Q&A session. We'll be talking about marketing and lead generation. So it'll be a full class about Q&A on marketing and lead generation. And other than that, you guys have a wonderful week, and we'll see you soon.
Hey. Bye, Jeremy.
Bye.
Thanks.
Hey, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Can you leave it on just longer? Do you have Dave Kinder's phone number? Do you think he'd be okay with you giving it to me?
Yeah. Let me grab it real quick here.
I was going to try to do a private message in chat, and with you closing down, it wasn't going to get there in time.
Yeah, no, you're good. I gotta end the video online. There we go.
Sure.
All right. I don't want to start giving away information all over the country. Let's see. Sorry, I'll log into my database real quick. Uh, 951 313 8208.
Okay, 591-313-8208.
Yeah, that's the one I have on my database. If it's not right, email me. I'll find another one.
All right. What I'll do, it's like, well, I'll text him just see if he's got a moment to talk. And if I don't get a response, or somebody says, "Who the heck are you?" Then
Absolutely.
Then I'll email you and say that wasn't a good number, Jeremy.
Yeah, bad number. Change it. Okay, perfect.
All right. Thank you, Jeremy.
No problem. You guys have a wonderful day.